Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Susan. How are you?
I'm good. I am back home and I can make my own cafe lattes again. Yay.
Okay, there's some joke there that I'm probably not getting, but I'm very happy for you that you can make your coffee.
Oh my gosh, when you're traveling, sometimes you just want that morning coffee like you're used to, and you have to work for it. You have to order it, you have to stand in line, you have to, compromise if they don't have what you want. So, yeah, being home and being back in your bed and yeah, all of the luxuries you have at home is just nice, as you know.
Definitely first world problems. I don't drink coffee, so
Ah,
that part of the routine is lost on me. But I get it. I get it. We've both been traveling. It was really nice to see you at the
yes.
conference not quite last week, the week before. Um, Quick trip for me, but I was still happy to see everybody since I was only there for a
Well,
day.
anytime you want to go birding in Colorado, I'm here.
I know. Yep, I go birding everywhere
I
I
know.
go, frankly. It's part of the somebody's either I'm planning the vacation, so of course it's built in, or if somebody else suggests something, I will always look first and
Yeah.
see, what's around. And because I will always sneak off early in the morning anyway, because as we all know, I'm an early morning person, so I will get up and go for a walk and look for stuff. Um, but
There's an
yeah.
ibis in Colorado. Ibis? How do you say that?
Ibis?
Ibis, the one with
Yeah.
the beak
Is
that,
it not supposed to? I don't know Colorado birds, but I'm guessing it's
oh,
not supposed to
yeah,
be
no,
there.
it's more like south eastern bird, like
Ah,
Florida and
yeah.
the grasslands and yeah. It's a waterfowl.
Yeah. Oh, I know where they are. We every once in a while we get them here.
Yeah,
We're not really supposed to get them, so it's kind of a big deal. But they're,
same here.
yeah, kind of unusual, but not completely uncommon.
So
But
it hits the news. That's why I know it's
yeah,
unusual.
so it's probably very uncommon there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw my first painted bunting, which was a bird that I
Yay.
was hoping to see. But it was a bit of a whirlwind because I went to conference for a single day because I just had too many other obligations that could not be missed, including the weekend. My son, I was a senior in college, had his senior sort of gaming showcase, which I could not
Awesome.
miss. He's a senior in college, and it's a big like open event. They take over a museum, all this stuff. So I couldn't miss it. And then I was
Yeah.
on vacation last week. So first day back in my office, and I'm super excited to be chatting with you and Paul, some of my favorite people. So
Nice.
it's a good way to ease in and avoid answering. So if anybody is, wondering why I haven't answered your email, that's why. Although by the time you hear this, hopefully I will have, since it'll be a couple weeks.
Coming back
Um,
from trips and trying to like
yeah.
remind yourself where you were in projects is just time consuming, and
Yeah.
then just getting that little gerbil going so
Yeah,
get
I know.
so that you can feel like you want to dive into those projects. Yeah, this weekend was
Yeah.
helping one person in particular all weekend, just physically, doing stuff on his computer for Mylio, and I appreciate that. Although the weather was really nice, and sometimes I thought it would be nice to be outside,
Yeah.
but you
Well,
know,
I spent half my weekend gathering documents for my son who's going to be studying abroad next year. I'm going to just put this out there, which has nothing to do with photo organizing, but I would say for anybody whose children are going to go study in Spain anytime in the near future, getting the visa is a royal pain. And
and
if
do
you
it
can do
early.
it through your school, which we cannot because we live in Illinois, so we're not allowed to have the school do it for us. I would say start super early. Find yourself a notary. Find the list of the things that you need and the list from people who've done it before
Mhm.
who tell you the other things that the original list doesn't tell you, such
Interesting.
as everything has to be in one color ink or it'll be rejected and
Oh
all
my
of these random
gosh.
things. Oh yeah.
That is random.
It
That's
is. There's a medical form that has to be filled out bilingually. So he already went and had his physical that he needs for the program, but then there's a form that's in English and Spanish. But not, that's fine. Has to be filled out, but somebody's was rejected because they filled out, like the student filled out the top part, which is just your name
Yeah.
and, social security number, whatever. But the doctor signed it in blue ink and the kid did it in black ink and it was rejected.
Oh no.
So we're trying to avoid all of that. So that's actually what I was helping him with this weekend and trying, because he's, at school, but we have to do it here. So he
Right.
literally has to fly home
To do
for
it. Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he doesn't get out of school until too late. So that was
Ugh,
fun.
the joys of
Um,
paperwork.
this is particularly a bad one. So if anyone can commiserate with me, shoot me an email and let me know. And let me know because by the time this airs, he will not have had his appointment yet. So let me know if there's other things that you have done
The gotchas.
that I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I
that's
know.
exciting though for him.
And for him, yeah. Yeah, he'll be gone for the whole year.
Yeah.
So exciting for him. A little
Yeah.
bit less for me because I'll miss him. Not that I see him much anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, but now you have a new destination.
I've actually never been to Spain.
There you go.
So yeah, he'll be in Spain in the fall and probably Italy in the spring. So we'll be hopefully visiting him both. So trying to just do all that stuff and get back to it. I've been gone a little bit and now today we get to record and talk to Paul.
Yeah. So let's bring Paul on because
Yep.
everybody knows him.
Everybody knows Paul, our Apple Photos guru, who we had on before, and I should have looked up the episode number, but I will put it in the description or the show notes because I don't remember what it
There you
was.
are.
So
Morning,
hi,
Paul, or I
Paul.
guess maybe
Yes.
it's afternoon out there.
Yeah, we crossed over here into the afternoon. Let me see though. I am not seeing myself on here, which is kind of
So
weird.
go to the checkerboard options in the upper right. It's like speaker gallery.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have uh, turned off the hide self view.
How about show self? There
Yeah.
we are.
There we go.
Thank you. I learned something new every day. And
Sometimes
Always.
two things.
sometimes two things. Yeah, exactly. So it's great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Even though we did see each other briefly in
Brief,
Boston, but
briefly
yeah.
is the key word there. You guys were in and out.
Oh yeah,
I,
that's right. Paul, you were only there for Friday too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah,
Making the guest appearance, but
And
exactly.
it was
before we go any further, I just want to throw in here that we last saw you on season 2, episode 11, May 1st, 2024. So it will be exactly 2 years, which is interesting. Not planned,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but fun.
Well, it's funny because, Allison and I, we constantly communicate, what are we going to do next? Who are we going to, interview?
Yeah.
And we're at my homework while I was at the conference was to reach out and see who's our next potential guest speaker. And you were standing right there. And I looked at Allison and I was, how about Paul?
yeah.
We love Paul. Actually, I have to correct myself because I just searched a little further down our page. And we also talked to you season 3, episodes 25 and 26,
That was
July
the
and
big
August of
one.
last year, the big one.
Yeah. And
So
we
I'll
had to
put
put
both
you.
all of that in the show notes. So
Yeah.
people who love Paul can go back and listen to those 3 in addition to today's.
Yep. Because you don't always give us the same tips, which is nice. You kind of keep us moving on with the new features. So what are we going to talk about today, Paul?
Oh man. I have to tell you, it's been a really interesting year. As I was thinking back on it, a lot of it for things that aren't quite that concrete. The big news, I think, is simply that AI has insinuated itself into pretty much everything we do, and that is a big deal for a couple of reasons with Apple. One of which is that everybody's been complaining for ages about why Siri didn't work as well as it was supposed to. The whole Apple Intelligence thing. And Apple has certainly been scrambling to try and make that work. And now it appears they have a really interesting solution to that. So the AI component is one thing. The Apple Photos interface, which we sort of had our toes dipped into it last year, but it really came full circle in the fall when Tahoe launched and iOS 26 and iPad OS 26 and Mac OS 26 all came out.
Well, that had
So
a lot of changes regarding the UI and also the look and feel, which raised a
yes,
few hairs, so to
yes,
speak.
yes. Well, they were slightly raised when we talked last year, and
Right.
they've kind of expanded. But um, some really good things, in my opinion, have come out of that. And then the iPhone itself, iPhone 17, has some new features, some new camera features, which is what we're all about, that are going to be really interesting going forward as well. So there's, Apple keeps moving us towards more of a full media stack. We have spatial audio, spatial video, spatial photos now in some form or other. So there's these new technology that's coming in, as well as the camera itself, which Alice and I was using to take pictures of the birds at my bird feeder, because now it has an 8-power zoom and I can actually get close up without being that close.
That's on the 17 though, right?
That's on the 17 Pro.
Yeah, because I'm still sitting on 16 Pro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
same.
I don't need
Some
to
of us
upgrade
don't
just for the
upgrade every year.
yeah. I don't
yeah,
need to
well,
upgrade for the camera because I don't shoot bird photos with my iPhone.
yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
have a long lens. Yeah.
there you go. Anyway, so there are a lot of things going on in the universe. Where would you like to start?
I want to talk about the UI, because for me that was like, ew. It really was something when they talk about can you turn the UI off, the glass feature,
Oh,
I was the
okay.
first one to think, where in the settings is that? Because it's going off, man. I do not like some of these features. I don't know
I
about
like
Yeah.
you,
the
but
glass. Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
yeah,
The the
some of them just
the
were not you need more contrast for me. And that
Mm.
yeah.
was an accessibility issue. And so anybody who's got vision issues, that would be escalated because then it made it more subtle and not defined.
Mm. I
True.
find that on my desktop. I don't have that issue with my phone, but I have that issue on my desktop on the top bar. I'm
Yep.
like, I can't see half the icons, and I do not have visibility issues or,
Hmm.
visual issues, but some of
Hmm.
them just don't show. Like my search, my little magnifying glass, I can't see it unless I hover over there, which is kind of stupid. I actually have a feeling that will
Yeah.
be on their short list of things to fix, I would assume, because I read quite a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And whether people realize it or not, the iPhone is one of the number one devices for people with any kind of disability
Hmm.
because of how accessible Apple has made their devices. So
Exactly. Exactly.
so for them to
Um,
do this, I was like, did they not talk to the accessibility team? Like
yeah.
what's
The liquid glass was, I mean, the first iteration of it, I was not very happy with, for similar reasons. I mean, I have like 3 pairs of glasses, and I have to have the right one in order to see the screen. Um, but I did run across a fix for the contrast and so forth, which if I don't I don't know if I can remember the settings today, but if not, I will send you guys a download with a cheat sheet with some stuff, because it does
And
make a
that's
huge
using
difference.
built-in settings, right?
Yes.
So you're not going to
Yes.
ask me to download some third-party thing to
Nope.
fix what
Nope.
Apple did. Okay.
No.
Just checking.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it works fine for me. And I still, if I had to vote, if they were going to reach out and ask me, I would say that I think the liquid glass thing was an interesting idea that kind of didn't get executed well enough. Um,
I don't
having
mind it, but I don't see the value that it brings either.
Exactly.
That's,
Well,
I
right,
mean, that's my thing is it's fine. I can see it. It doesn't really bother me, but I really don't see what the benefit is, unless it's something we now see in the iPhone 17 that I don't have. But I don't.
I think it's mainly eye candy. Um,
they're trying to make it look different. So there's a defined view when you hit your desktop. Oh, this is the new OS. They always try
right.
to do something different, whether it's look and feel, or it's your menu options, or it's your what do they call this? Your app view or something. The things that slide in. I'm like, oh, turn all that stuff off. I do not want things to be popping up at me. And when it happens, sometimes I do a three-finger swipe and the sidebar opens up, but it's never consistent. I'm like, how did that open up? Like, go away.
Well, here's the thing. I think, um, if you really stand back and look at it, the iPhone is a tiny device, and there are a lot of limitations in what they're trying to do within that space. I mean, it's hard to do, and so they try different stuff. But at the end of the day, there's only so much real estate that they've got to work with, and
Oh, absolutely.
you either have to step into another screen, or you have to do something all of which makes it more complicated, which they're trying to avoid. So, I have to give Apple credit for most of the time moving the technology forward and giving us some extra stuff without making it more complicated. I mean, there's a lot of features that I think more advanced users would love to see that literally would complicate things and drive the everyday user, which is really the target audience,
Right.
a little nuts, and we know that there are those things in Apple Photos on the iPhone, like, why can't we have smart albums? Why can't we, there's some
limitations.
nuance. There's
Yeah.
limitations,
Yeah.
and I think part of it is, just, our fingers only get so small, and the screens only get so big. And at some point, the other day, I was really kind of amazed that we can jab away at the little keyboard the way we do and actually hit the right text most of the time. I mean,
Right.
the fact that they
Without the
figure,
buttons, right?
yeah,
Without the raised buttons, like from my
yeah,
BlackBerry of old.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a marvel of technology, no matter how you look at it. But everybody has their thing. And
All right. So what
anyway,
tripped you up the most with this latest update?
well, I mean, honestly, I think that's what tripped me up the most. I honestly, because I'm sure this is because I spent the time with 18.5, where we had the split view of Apple Photos.
Mhm.
I kind of knew what I was getting into already with the navigation. The big thing, just to step back a little bit here, is it turns out, according to some authorities, that there's kind of two thresholds with photos. And for many, many years, we have lived with the 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, image universe. And now we're starting to get more and more into 100,000 uh, item universe, right? At which point, the management of it becomes much more complicated. There's something, that may be an arbitrary number and different for different people, but the consensus seems to be that at 100,000, the management, the tools that we use to find stuff gets complicated, gets overwhelming for most people. And the way that I look at it is the main library screen that we've lived with since iPhoto, the old days.
I can barely remember what that looks like.
well, but the truth is, it didn't look that different than what we're doing today. I mean, they squeeze more tiny pictures, make them tinier, but you're still swiping, you're still looking for stuff. And up to a point, you can do that. I mean, we all grew up in the analog world, browsing through record stacks and browsing through file cabinets and browsing through all sorts of stuff. So we get that. People intuitively know how to do that. And frankly, when they came out with this inertia, on the scroll, it was really kind of cool, right? To slide through all these photos and everything. Everybody had a lot of fun and they got used to doing it and it became a habit. But the reality is that now it's like we started out this journey at the corner grocery store, where we could kind of like go in and we knew, we could go over here and get, this and go over there and get cereal and whatever. Now we're in a supermarket. And so you go in there and who knows, you're not going to want to walk through every single aisle to find what you're looking for.
Even That's if you don't, they have the aisle labels.
There you go. And so what Apple essentially has done is, and they sort of teased us with it in 18.5, they had the library view at the top. And then below that, they started this whole idea of collections, which are essentially Apple-generated smart albums, is what they are. And so you could go up to what you were familiar with and down to this new thing that confused the hell out of everybody. So in Tahoe, what they did was they split the two apart, which also confused people. But once you get used to it, you kind of know, well, okay, I like the scroll view, I'm going to be here. I like the collections view, I'm going to be here. And what I believe is that with this $100,000 photo
collection,
thank you. They're trying to wean us away from the scrolling.
Yeah,
because it's not practical anymore. If it's a photo that's any older than 2 weeks, then you're lost. So this is where the collections come in, and I think they're very cool. People still don't really get it. I explain it to people, their eyes go, "Whoa, that's so cool." I do not run into very many people yet who intuitively start their search in collections as opposed to the library view.
Well, I don't know anybody that does, actually. Well, none of my clients do. I don't either.
Yeah, frankly. I don't either. And, part of it's because that's not what you're introduced to when you open the app.
Well, I believe that's going to change.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, this is, we can make a bet over that. But I think this is essentially what Apple is trying to do, because it's frustrating. People get frustrated trying to find their photos, and that's always been a big complaint. So the idea is that if you're If you're going to the supermarket to buy coffee, go to the coffee aisle, right? And people don't yet have that, that habit ingrained. But I think that I truly believe as photo managers, this is going to be one of our central tasks to be, less of a housekeeper and more of a guide as we go forward. Because
I think part of it though is because we're not making those collections and we can still in
Mhm.
albums. But when you
Right.
open up, like I just opened up my phone on the collection screen, and none of these are things that I've created, and half of them are things I don't care about. I mean, I have the memories at the top and it's among the trees over the years. Now, if it said among the birds over the years, maybe, but I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting, but not a collection that clearly I spent a lot of time in the woods, which is why Apple's
Mhm.
creating it, but it's not a collection that I care about
Right.
at all.
So, which is a wonderful segue into the whole AI gambit. Because I, as and I'm saying this, um, fully aware that the Worldwide Developers Conference is still a month away. So,
Oh, does that mean we bring you back after that?
We'll just have Paul come every
I'm
week.
I'm here if you're here. Uh, so but seriously, when you think about the buzz around AI, the purposes of AI, you look at I've been messing around with Claude and with the co-work component of it and so forth. The whole direction of AI is to take the routine stuff off our plate. Okay, so to your point, Allison, the the buzz, as I read it from various people, is that if you keep getting these memories pop up that you don't care about, and you reject those memories, and you favorite the ones that you want, you know
It's going to learn that.
it's going to learn
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's going to start telling what you're looking for, right?
Well, they do have this type to create a memory, but I haven't
Yeah.
tested that out. Have you tested that out? How well does that work?
Um, the stuff that I've tested, I don't use it every day, but I spent one period playing with it, and it was pretty good. I mean, I got an answer, 3 out of 4 times. I got something that was a creditable thing. But again, this is what I think we're in the middle of. I think right now we are living through this transition, and it's clearly moving towards um, AI and towards intelligent understanding. I mean, if you can set up AI as people are now to give you a report at the beginning of the day with your appointments and your important emails and this other stuff, you can certainly start to create a photo library that I heard one person say, that helps resurface your memories. And I think that's the logical direction this is going. To what I see that as a part of what's going to happen. I think we have to get away from this infinite scroll thing. I think that we're going to find our search get better and better, conversational search. It's better this year than it was last year when we talked, and it's only going to get better as they put more stuff into the technology. The AI thing that I was talking about, if you haven't heard, Apple decided that it made more sense for them to buy a good AI engine than to build it themselves. That Apple does other stuff much better,
Right.
and so they went out to Google and they bought Google Gemini. And so the way that this is going to work, in order to preserve all the privacy stuff that Apple is so famous for, is that they're not going to port your queries to Google Gemini online. What they're doing is they're actually licensing the engine.
So they have a closed system.
Exactly, right on your device.
Yeah.
And so that you'll have the kind of thing that people are used to with Google, but you'll have it on your device. And your device then will start to learn, oh, this is a Monday morning. Susan always does this Monday mornings. How about, here's your weather and here's your kind of thing, right? And I think the same thing with photos. I have one client who I think is a pretty typical, a grandmother with a new child, and 90% of what she looks at are pictures of that child, right? The new feed from yesterday kind of thing. Well, this is perfect for that because it can figure out that, this is the child, this is a new attachment that came yesterday in email. Let's just copy it right into Apple Photos and make that, a part of the people and pets.
The memories or whatever.
Organization, yeah. Exactly, or memories, child's first steps, whatever. It's not going to work perfectly right away.
Yeah. Well, it has to get trained.
It has to get trained.
Right.
But I think that this is kind of as I said, this is kind of a transitional year. And I think that there have been a lot of loose pieces, that AI, as it could work on device, is just getting to the place where it can work on device.
Well, the device has to be powerful enough, right? Has to have enough resources. So here's a question. Have they actually implemented the Gemini AI in Apple, or are they still under, they're trying to integrate it?
We'll find out at the WWDC.
Okay. Yeah.
I do I just want to circle back because I loved the resurface analogy. I thought that was perfect.
Right.
I thought that was really, really smart because that is true. It's resurfacing things actually that I don't care about and things that I want to delete because I don't need them. But, I looked at the among the trees and there were some things in there. I wouldn't have clumped them together that were nice to resurface, as you said.
Yeah.
But there's other things like I don't want Apple automatically adding photos that I get in my email to my Apple Photos library. For example, somebody just sent me, from our trip, like 50 of them on a link, and several were duplicates and some I just don't want them. So I wonder if Apple will learn the curation. Yeah. Although in a situation like I'm sure all of these will learn. They don't need, if somebody sends you a JPEG of a document, right? Because you're sending that or a PDF, it's going to learn that you don't need that in your Apple library. But I'm quite curious to know how it would decide which of those 50 photos I might want to keep. Because I definitely don't want, and I use Gmail, and I hate, there was a while where I don't think you could turn it off, where it was trolling your email and putting things in your calendar. Drove me absolutely bonkers because I don't want that. I don't need it. I don't want it. So it will be interesting to watch how that works with photos and how it learns what it should be making collections of. I think there's some things that are quite obvious. You travel. Yeah. So a trip collection for probably the vast majority of people is going to be something that they want.
Yeah, I would agree.
I've noticed it doesn't quite get those right just yet either. Like over the last week, I was in Boston on Friday, Illinois on the weekend, and Savannah later, and it did not handle that well at all.
And so when you say it didn't handle it, what do you mean by that? Specifically, give me an example.
So Boston, it created its own That's
Yeah.
fine.
So that
And
was
then
good.
it pushed together for no reason that I can figure out Illinois and Georgia as one trip,
Fascinating.
which makes no sense.
Right, because
I
they're
mean, they're completely
geolocated completely different.
exactly. And I was using my phone and the location. I love location on my photos. So I keep that on because I am a map view fan. So it
Mhm.
knew that I was in Illinois on the weekend.
Yeah.
It knew I was in Boston on Friday, Southern Illinois, Saturday, Sunday, and Savannah Monday through or Sunday night, whatever. It knew, but it weirdly put those together, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think I was also looking at one of the views that sort of promotes certain photos over others. It makes them bigger. I forget what that's called, but when you're in a different view. And it was
So,
not the ones that I would want to see
Yeah.
summary
necessarily.
view. Yeah.
Yeah, the summary view for me doesn't work. And part of it is because I was using my camera, my other camera, to take the pictures of, I was birding Sunday in Illinois on my way back to the airport and then over the week. But I don't combine those. But what it was, and because I don't put my camera photos into Apple Photos, so it wouldn't know that certain
Hmm.
things are of interest and certain things are not. But I found it interesting the ones it was promoting to be larger than others because they weren't the ones that I would choose. And maybe it's just a training thing. And I do very much appreciate that Apple's training is on your device only. And I think we should talk about that a
Hmm.
little bit further because, I was just reading in our photo managers discussion group about, the changes coming to Google, which
Yeah.
actually happened, I think, a few months ago. It was not recent, but our conversation on it within the group was
Hmm.
Yeah.
recent. And, you know, Google's training on all of our stuff everywhere. I don't keep anything in Google Photos. But,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so I actually think we should, and I don't know if now is the time to segue to that, but the idea that Apple trains on your own device, like with facial recognition, I think is the easiest one to see where that
Hmm.
happens.
Well, and that's been
It's really
happening for
important.
years now.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's not something that
It's
just
not
happened
new.
no, it's not
No.
new. However, they're more explicitly telling you, we're going to get into your stuff. So when you
Yes.
have a conversation again about putting somebody's photos into a particular software, if it's free, you're the product, you're the service,
Right.
you're the
Yeah.
value. So
Right.
the service is not the
Although I would
value.
say though, like Google Photos isn't really free anymore. It is for some people
Yeah,
because,
if you stay
some
behind
people that can keep
beyond the
it
threshold.
under, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But most people are paying for it now.
right.
So that's a little bit, I 100% agree with you, Susan, on that. It's
Yeah,
absolutely true. And I say that to people all the time. But Google and Apple are a little different because everybody's paying for that pretty
yeah.
much. There's very few
Hmm.
people that can get away with I forget what the threshold is now for a free account
50
with Google.
gig, is
I think
No,
it?
it's
it's five
15.
five
It might
gig,
be
I think.
15, 1 5,
Oh,
but it combines your email. It's your email,
Hmm.
your photos, your Google Drive, all of that. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's 1 5 GB. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, total tangent, but I mean, I have to assume that all of this scrolling and who knows what'll come out at the developers conference that it will learn and get better, but I don't love it because one of the things I think it is good for certain things, but I do wonder what's getting lost in there. And it doesn't know for me what is important because I do use my other camera a lot. And so there's certain things that are important in my Apple Photos that are quite different than my overall what is
collection.
important. It does
Right.
highlight
Hmm.
my dog a lot,
Yeah.
which is very important. Clearly, I take a lot of photos of the dog. But I actually would love to see resurfaced photos of my kids. I don't take that many photos of my kids now because they're both at college.
Right.
So I don't
Hmm.
have that many. So it probably doesn't see that as an important, but that actually, I would love to see, more of my kids.
Well, just
Now,
as
after
a
saying this out loud, there's probably going to show up. Just saying.
that's funny.
I
Well,
know.
when we were talking about memories and the option to create, I thought, okay, I'm going to do this live while we're talking.
You
And
try
I
it.
said,
Yeah.
I specifically said photos. So here's my pain point. I said, give me photos of wildlife images. And it threw video in there. Like, what the heck?
Oh, that's interesting. actually.
So total fail there for me. So I see video of, live
If you
captures.
redo it and you say photos, not video, I wonder, just because I have a feeling that Apple does think of
Yeah,
them
I think they
similarly. Yeah.
sort of group it
Yeah.
together.
So that was
Yeah.
sort of a fail for me,
Were the rest like good wildlife photos? Were they what you would expect, or was it showing you, tulips on the sidewalk versus, bears that you saw in when you took your trip to, I think, Wyoming or Jackson, wherever that
No,
was
it
not long ago.
shows like, my dog's running crazy in the background, a fox, um, just a variety of things. But like I
Mm.
mentioned, here, let me show you because now we can
Let's see
show
your
our.
wildlife.
So do you see my phone?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so here's the dog running around crazy in the back. That one, see, all of these are videos, and then
Mm.
you've got
So you
different.
did find a bear. That looked like a bear outside the car there. Maybe? What is that?
That is a moose.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so it's got my Hummers that I like to photograph in my backyard. Then it slips in a video. Like, what the heck? I don't need a video. There's a bear.
Well, you don't know if there isn't a something in there, some wildlife in there in your
In the
video.
No, but
video,
she's
there
saying
is.
she asked for photos only, right?
My prompt was
Yeah.
give me photos of
Now I'm
wildlife.
gonna try it too.
Just, that was all I wanted. And so when I hit play, see, it says wildlife. Oh, and
Hmm.
it gives me music and everything. But here's the videos of wildlife that I've taken, right?
So what happens if you prompt it to say, just give me videos of wildlife?
Well, here, let's see. So let's do it. And it says, hanging out at Sandstone Ranch or snowstorms or whatever. So I'm going to say, Paul, help me. What should I prompt it? Because I
Show me
already
my
tried give me
You're on
photos and
the
it didn't
spot
work.
now.
yeah, show me my videos of wildlife.
No, I don't want videos. Show
Well,
me
I'm
my
trying it.
No.
my pictures
Do not.
of wildlife. No
Here, I just tried it
videos.
without video. Let's see what I get. Although most of my wildlife photo, well, there's probably a fair number on here, but most of my good ones are not on here.
Okay, well, let's see.
Okay, I just did the same prompt and I also got videos, just so you know.
And see, it's back to
Yeah,
videos.
it's interesting.
Well, you didn't. Oh, you just asked for pictures.
I just asked for
I put
pictures.
in show me photos of wildlife and do not show me videos, and I'm also getting videos. But the rest are actually, wildlife. But
Yeah.
most of them are videos because I use my phone for when I video wildlife more than, oh, there's somebody's cat.
So
Okay.
show me pictures of wildlife, no videos, and it didn't work. So there you go.
Okay.
It's still in
Well,
it's still in progress.
Yeah.
It's
still in.
probably going to get better, but you'll just have to play with it.
I will say that it is giving me really cute videos of wildlife, but I also mostly take wildlife photos on my other camera, but videos on this one. And
Exactly.
so it's almost all, oh, and then it just like crashed. But it's almost all video. But it is all wildlife. Plus there was one in there of like my dog barking at a cat in a window. Because my dog hates cats. So there is a cat that sits in a window where we go for a walk and he's going at it. And so I took a video. Anyway,
I mean,
but
I
and
mean,
I assume that will get there.
yeah.
But what I
I
think is
mean,
more interesting is it's learning what collections do we actually want to see.
Hmm.
yes, yes. And I think, to put it in perspective, if you had asked it to show you wildlife pictures of any kind 5 years ago,
Yeah.
you'd, yeah,
It'd be hit and miss.
good,
Yeah.
good luck. So it's, yeah, I think the point is this is the direction that Apple wants to go with it to try and make it work. And
So here's a question too,
yeah,
though. So I tell this to my clients all the time where you really need to embrace the search now, not the scrolling, which is what we've talked about, but the
yes,
search. I think then the problem becomes what do you search for? So some things are obvious. Oh, I want to go find pictures of my kids when they were age 5. Okay, yeah, that's easy. But I think the bigger issue is forgetting what's in that library so that you don't even know to search for it.
yeah,
I think that, and that is where the resurfacing, if it can figure out how to resurface those
right,
memories, the ones that you don't even know are there. So you're not going to type in, I want to find XYZ, but you don't
hmm,
even know that ABC are in there. So how are you going to look for them?
Well, and the
exactly,
other thing is you
yeah,
can't do a lot of metadata entry on your phone. You have to do it on other
Well,
on
it's
another
easier to
device.
do it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's some things you can't do, but yeah, it's interesting. It's
I
interesting.
think I think the
They have to
um,
provide more tools so we can add the metadata on the device so that we can then get the information back out when we want it.
Except that most people aren't going to do that. So we all do that because
right,
But
we know the importance of
if
it, but
they add
most
that
people aren't
tool
going to do it.
though, if they add the tool, then we can educate and Apple can educate and all these other people can educate.
I still think people aren't going to do it. So we work with a small subset of people who are interested in doing that, but the vast
hmm,
majority of people want it to just work. They don't want to go
yes,
in and add, blah blah blah. I mean, I do it. I keyword every single bird photo I take, right? Most people aren't going to
Well,
do that.
yeah,
What
but
they want it to just
that's your
work.
passion. But
Well,
even
yeah, but
favoriting, if we can get people to just favorite
yeah.
their favorites, that will
sure,
change how Apple Photos works for you.
Yeah.
exactly,
Favoriting is the
exactly,
number one biggest tool, I think,
Absolutely.
of organizing, literally over everything else, because most people might do that. Yeah, but they don't tend to, like, I think we work with such a small population of people who care and do want to add that information. I think most people don't. They just want to take the photo and then be able to find it later without doing anything to it. And I think that is what what all of these groups and all of the AI is trying to get at is so that that's what you can do. And you
Right.
don't have to go and add additional information.
So, Paul, let's talk about
yeah,
spatial images. You mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier. When
hmm,
I got back from my cruise, I went down to Southern Caribbean and Panama Canal, and like
hmm,
I got a little spark in my brain as I was taking different panoramas, and I thought I need to do a spatial of the Panama Canal, so that later
hmm,
on I might have a headset or some device
right,
that I can
right,
enjoy that view. So I did that in
yeah,
a couple of places. I didn't do it all the time because it's not something normal in my usage, right? I don't go
right.
there to think, "Oh, I'm going to do it," because I can't enjoy those right now per se.
That I do the same thing. I mean, I have a spatial video of our conference in Orlando, actually.
Mm.
At
I think I
at
remember
some
you taking it.
at some point, I'm really curious to see what it looks like. Um, but this is the direction that all this stuff is going.
Right.
And again, this is I'm sure it's going to be a couple of years before it becomes like commonplace. But I think our the newer generations are becoming more used to that kind of experience and are going to be more interested in it. I think there's bound to be um, business marketing opportunities with that sort of thing that people are going to want. So it's something. It's a really interesting scenario, and I think that's a smart idea because I think being able to have that saved someplace where grandkids or whoever could actually see that. I think is very cool. The one interesting thing about it, one of the insights that I wanted to give put out here is we haven't invested a lot of time, at least in my experience, with the photo management of video. I mean, people take video, I don't take a lot of video, but I ran some numbers, and I was kind of blown away, which is confirmed by what I've read online. Right now, so in this one library that I looked at, I had 38,600 and some photos and 1,775 videos. So basically, the videos are about 4% of the images that I have in my library. Thing is that they take up 25% of the space that library is using. And I think for a couple of reasons. One is, just the whole space thing. I see this all the time on forums where somebody gets caught in the scenario where they can't take another photo because they run out of pictures. I run out of space. And their knee-jerk reaction is to start deleting photos. Well, photos are not where the space is going, and people don't really grasp that, because photos or videos have kind of they're a little bit under the radar. You took that 10-second shot of somebody jumping in the pool, and
Well, the other thing that adds to space are live
photos.
videos.
Yeah.
That's true.
And if that's all you do is take live videos, then, or live photos, those little tiny 3-second videos that go with that image adds to space as well.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely a thing. So in terms of space, as the libraries get bigger and bigger, and as videos inevitably become more and more of the mix, that's something that we have to appreciate. We may become photo editors, or, maybe part of the AI will become a smart editor. I don't know. But there's all these factors that we have to look at. Plus, the people and pets now analyzes the videos as well. So, it will pull up a video of somebody or a group together or something like that. But this is all part of what's becoming more of a media experience and a little bit less of a photo experience, the way that this all started.
So have you tried making one of your spatial videos, or photos, your background image? Because that's supposedly a thing, but there's not a filter for spatial on my phone. There is on my desktop, so I can filter, very quickly to a spatial image, but I can't do that on my phone.
You don't have in media types, you don't have spatial? You should.
Not on my phone.
On there.
Not on my phone.
Now we're all looking. Now we all have to look. Actually, I don't even know. It's not something that I use, so I don't even know. Yeah, mine doesn't show it on the filter, but I'm not actually sure I've ever taken any.
Oh, I think
Let's see.
In photos, if you have to turn it on.
I'm just looking now at these aren't very exciting spatial of my office. Well, because I literally don't think I've ever taken one.
I've
But
only
you're right,
taken.
Susan, that was really smart on vacation though. I try panoramics every once in a while, and I'm not good at it. I'm just not like, and they don't look right either. They just look really, like, especially when you try and go too far, they just look stretched. They don't look proper.
All right. So what's interesting? On my desktop, I cannot see. All right, video types, media types. Spatial. All right. So now let me find it on my phone. So if I go to collections and I go down to media types, there's
Mm-hmm.
utilities, media types, and there's spatial. All right. That's how I do it. Now I can take one of those spatial images and assign it to be my background, if I can remember how to do that. How do I do that? Um, Edit? No.
Doesn't everybody love when we try and figure this out live?
Yeah.
Well, it's something that if you're going to take it, like let's say you're somewhere special and it's a great sunset or something and it's spatial, supposedly as a background image, you can even do more with it.
Mm,
Well, the thing is, for spatial to work, you have to have some object that's about in that 9 foot from the camera range, and then the background. I mean, otherwise it doesn't have anything to split apart.
Okay.
So that's part of it. It is, it like the other stuff is kind of in its infancy, but
yeah.
but that's the idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, something fun for us to make note of.
Oh, and I think there'll be a lot more of that too.
Yeah. That
I
is
think
definitely the future there, the spatial stuff for sure.
Well,
yeah,
because it's
Yeah.
immersive. I mean, it
Yeah.
like brings you right back to that moment, which I think will be awesome if you've got the right device to enjoy it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what else can we do you want to do a little demo on your phone? What else would you like to share with our audience?
Well, I'm trying to think of what would actually show well. I think
They do have enhanced filtering and sorting, which I do like. They give you more
well,
features for that.
Yeah.
so that's part of the new interface thing that I think is not presented, as well as it could. Partly because it confuses some people even more, but the underlying thread of the collections view, of the AI and everything else, including these filters, which there are quite a few filters now that manage your views. I think the whole thing is customization. We haven't
Mm.
had the ability to customize much on the phone,
Oh, that's
in,
a good
partic-
thing.
in,
Show
in
people how to
particular.
reorder their dashboard.
Well, yeah. I mean, reordering the collections view,
Yeah.
uh, pinning
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, this is, again, for that grandmother who has a new grandchild. You know, all you need is to put pinned views at the top of collections, put that child's um, people tagging on there, and every time she can open it up and go straight to that. And I really am waiting for Apple to be able to say, you know what, you can open directly into the collections view
Mm.
and cut to the chase. And I think once they do that, people will start getting used to it.
Right.
But
Instead of it being a
you
hidden option or something.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
There'll be
because
a lot of pushback on that though when they first do it because people be like, where did all my photos go?
yeah,
Not realizing that you can have I think one of the most useful collections is sort of that recently added
yeah,
one. That's
yeah.
and but people aren't gonna
Recently
know.
added and recently viewed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are, uh, I've told this to many clients. If you're going out for, lunch with your friends, and you're going to be talking to them, and that you just took a trip to Palm Springs, all you do is pull up those photos and select, 2 dozen of them, and the next time you open recently viewed, there they are. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a very handy, easy way to do that. Let's see. I think one of the other numbers I came up with is, and Apple clearly understands it, and not everybody else does, but the iPhone has become the center of the Apple Photos universe. I mean, by far, there are 10 times more active iPhones out there in the world than there are Macs. So there are people who are living totally and doing things totally on their iPhones. One recent upgrade, though, that I think is very cool is for those people who don't have a Mac, but really need the benefit of a large screen. Now search is enabled on iCloud Photos library. So you can actually do an awful lot of basic organizing in iCloud. And so, you can go to a library if they have computers available and log into your iCloud account and do the heavy lifting for your photo editing.
Although I
Or,
just want to insert in there, if you're going to your local library to do that, not sure
yeah,
that's the best idea. And if you do, though, make sure you sign out before you leave your local library.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just want
Absolutely.
to throw that in there. Don't leave your stuff on the screen and logged in.
Yeah. No, uh, our library has an automatic, deletes everything kind of set up. So,
Yeah.
but
They
that's,
probably all do. I just wanted to
yeah,
throw that
no,
out
it's,
there because you can get into
no,
more than your photos when you log into your iCloud on
yes,
On
another
another
yes,
device.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. It's true. So those are the
I don't
biggies
know.
there.
I wonder how far they'll actually develop that though, because it doesn't really help Apple all that much, to allow you to do this on, say, a PC. They want
Right.
people to have their iPhones and their Macs
And their devices.
and
And
their
and
devices. Yeah.
you're still not getting the full capabilities that you
Yeah.
would if you were doing it on your own equipment. And now with the Neo, the MacBook
I was going to
Neo,
ask you
Yeah.
about that.
yeah, yeah, I looked at one when I was going through Grand Central Station the other day, and they're very nice. I mean, it is the expected build quality. It is the keyboard is the same keyboard as on the Air and on the Pro.
Well, the
It's
only
it's
difference is the
pretty
chip,
great.
really.
Essentially, yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. So they took the chip of an older iPhone device, and that's what
right.
they had extras of in a bin, and that's what they
Hmm.
started to use. And it's really genius because the power that we have in our pocket with these iPhones is incredible. That the stuff that you can do. And now
Hmm.
that MacBook Neo to me is a better device than if you were to get the Google Chromebook.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
How does
potato.
it like so let's talk about because I haven't looked at them yet, but now they've got the Neo, but you also have iPads, which can do an awful lot
Right.
compared
However,
to,
a
so
typical
where
iPad.
where would you want a Neo versus an iPad or vice versa?
Right now, I think your iPads are more powerful, but they don't come with a keyboard. By the time you put the expense of the keyboard and a mouse, now you've got a MacBook Air, right? So if you're looking at a MacBook Neo, you've got the keyboard built in, and if you get the upgraded version with Touch ID and a little larger hard drive, that's you're in a sweet spot for children going to school, going to college. They're not doing a lot of heavy lifting on those devices, right? I think it's a perfect travel device, which is less than the MacBook Air.
Hmm.
Would you agree, Paul?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's. I mean, I would look at it as a next. Oh, there I am. I would look at it as a next step for me. If I was buying a new laptop right now, I would probably do that because the cost is right. It is fast enough. I mean, I've watched several demos on YouTube,
Mm.
and everybody, without question, says, unless you're doing heavy video editing
Right.
or a lot of batch work, I
Or
think
local
for
AI photo processing, stuff like that, Photoshop work. Any of
yeah,
the Adobe products could be a challenge for it, but
Mm.
yeah, no, it's
Would you
true.
get that over an iPad? Like how are those two gonna compete? You think, are
well, if
they,
you want a touch device, you've got to have an iPad because the
yeah,
laptops are not touch screen. But again, I've got my iPad right here, keeping me, in track. And it's an iPad Pro from I don't know what year, but I don't mind interacting with it without a keyboard because I
Mm.
don't use it. It's a consumption device for me. So it's where I play videos. It's where I
Mhm.
look at photos. It's where I play podcasts.
But you're not inputting
It's
so
where I
much.
read. Yeah, not inputting and not
Mm.
doing work. Now, there are many that buy it for doing work. I've seen a lot of people do all their editing of podcasts and video on an iPad because it's powerful enough to do that.
Yeah.
They've got the pencil, which allows you to interact in a different way that you can't
Mhm.
interact with a MacBook Neo. So you
I
have to
have a professional photographer that does all her photo editing with the pencil on her iPad.
exactly
Yeah.
because that's your ability to do that. So you have to kind of figure out what your lane is, what your you know work workflow looks like, and if you can do it on something else. Now,
Yeah.
I think the MacBook Neo, for those that only have an iPhone right now, and they don't have another Mac in the house,
That would, yeah.
that
Mhm.
is the audience that I would recommend that device for because then you could plug in a local hard drive and you could back up all of your originals out of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apple photo ecosphere to a physical device so that you've got a backup.
I wonder if they'll go after the school market, actually, when you were saying that. Because here it's all Google Chromebooks. They use Google
Mhm.
Drive for
I
everything.
think that's
So
the
a
market.
Neo would do them nothing because the school
Yeah.
system doesn't use it. So, but I know other places, my kids, one of my son's college freshman year, they gave them all like iPads for something. And then they actually never did anything with it because they don't use software. Like what they use does not, the
Talk to it.
programs they use doesn't really work. So that kind of
Right.
Yeah.
went nowhere. But I bet that is one of their target
Markets.
audiences
Yep,
with it. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Now what they're
Yeah.
running into is they've run out of a lot of supply. So now if you order something today, you're not going to get it till May, is what I've heard.
Mm.
So that tells you it's
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't
it.
looked at it because like the last thing I need is another another computer
No, but I
device.
get asked a lot from a variety of my customers, "Hey, I need to buy a new device, a new laptop. What would you recommend?" And
Yeah.
so it's important for me to keep up on all the different devices and what they're good for.
Yeah. I think for most everyday photo centric people, it's fine. And as you say, if all they have now is a iPhone,
Yeah.
then having a computer, it completes the ecosystem, which is really where Apple plays best.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
everything talks to each other, it's automatically backed up, they can use Time Machine. It's and it works.
Yeah.
So I think it was a brilliant idea. And the truth of the matter is the M chips and the A chips, honestly, that's in the Neo, they're all getting so fast and so
Yeah.
powerful that the stuff that we just sweated over, you know 8 years ago,
Yeah.
10 years ago, they're just
This
so
is why
far
people
beyond
have
that.
have no attention spans
Yeah.
anymore. It's because
Yeah.
everything moves so fast. I was talking to
Yeah.
someone the other day who about that who we're so used to swiping and everything. She actually sat down to read a book, which she hadn't had time to do for a while. She had to retrain her brain to actually
Focus.
stay involved and focus on the
Yeah.
book, and I found that so disheartening and sad. That I mean, the stuff is great. Faster is better. The Neo probably has a space. The second generation of it will be even better. But I do wonder what damage we're doing to our brains where with
Yeah.
this type of consumption. Anyway, total
Hmm.
aside, probably not a topic for this particular podcast. Um, but yeah,
No,
the
but
Neo is
I
not one that
agree.
I particularly use for, although I can see it as when we get those clients who do, all I have is an iPhone, but I want to be able to do these other things. That is a great
Hmm.
suggestion potentially
Oh,
for them.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you just have to, figure out where their price point is and
yeah,
hopefully they'll want the larger hard drive and the Touch ID.
yeah. Although
Yeah.
people don't like to spend money on that, and I'm always like, get the larger hard drive. You're going to
Well,
need it.
because it's not
Programs are
upgradable.
doubling in size. You take more
Yeah.
photo, like you need it always.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
thought is when they run out of these chips, they're just going to go to the next chip and you'll get even a faster Neo.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, your devices are obsolete the moment you buy them. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
always looking
And
at the
and
next
if
best
you're
thing.
and if you have poor timing, like this happened to me all the time, I'd like buy a model and then they discontinue it
Yeah.
in the Mac universe. And I'm
Well,
like, ugh. So
yeah.
now I
It's
just don't
Well,
even
it's
Macs
worry about
last a
it.
long time. I mean, I've got one from a client that they don't need anymore. I was like, I will keep it because it's got a much older OS on it. And sometimes we get things that can only work on those older. And this Mac is like 12 years old and it still
hmm
works.
Yeah.
It still works. The files on it are tiny. Like you can't plug in a drive that's bigger than a couple, like that's probably even bigger than a gigabyte because the computer can't handle it. But
Right.
it still runs, which is amazing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
save some very old hard drives for that very purpose
Yeah.
because it just won't interact with any devices that it doesn't recognize because it didn't understand what a 500 gigabyte hard
Yeah.
drive is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't know
Yeah.
it. So, Paul, as we get towards the end here of our time with you,
Ugh.
what are some of the like the fun things with let's go back to photos because this is a, photos
A
podcast,
photo thing.
a
Yeah.
photo thing. But what are some things in the more recent iterations of Apple Photos, some tricks and things that people might not know are there?
Well, in terms of software or in terms of the iPhone.
Well, things they might be able to do on the iPhone and the photos. Like I'm always really surprised even that people don't even know to search for things. Like
Yeah.
you can put in birthday and it's going to find photos of
Yeah.
people celebrating birthdays.
Birthdays.
So
Well, it's got to
Yeah.
find the cake.
yeah, or candles,
Yeah.
it'll pull up,
Or a Christmas tree or a
yeah.
menorah.
But I have to tell you that and I think this is part of the magic of the evolution. Um, I I took pictures of my wife Pam with a really cool sweatshirt, embroidered sweatshirt that she wasn't sure if she wanted to keep or not, right? And so I took a picture of her so she could see what she looked like in there, right? And I took a picture from the front and I took a picture from the back. And from the back, it could be anybody. But when I pulled up in the search for Pam, when I was looking at for something else later, it showed both photos.
Mm.
So it made the connection that it was the same time. The photos were like, close together. It looked like kind of the same garment, and it assumed, oh,
Mm.
this is her. Same thing happened with our cat, who I had one picture of where had his head was buried in the cupboard looking for something, and so all I got was his butt and his tail, and it showed up as Dash, right, as one of the things. So I think this is the point. It's about resurfacing memories, but
Mm.
it's becoming. Somebody said that photos is starting to look less for pictures and more for stories. And I think however that happens, with the technology. I think that's kind of the way that things are going. So I believe that, again, I'm really, really curious to see what Apple comes up with at the developers conference in terms of, this is what we're releasing this fall. Because once they draw a line in the sand, they have to kind of, you know, step up to it. And I think they were burned enough with some original Siri Apple Intelligence things that,
Yeah.
they really are determined to make it work, whatever they come up with. But I do think that we're now at a point where instead of developing our skills of physically using these devices, we now are going to start playing the same kind of game that AI is, where it's all how you prompt things,
It's understanding the prompting.
the prompts, what you
And that will
respond
get
to.
easier too, right?
Yes,
Your prompts aren't
exactly.
going to they won't have to be nearly as
No, it
Specific
won't.
or
detailed.
It
Yeah.
detailed. Yeah.
won't be computer speak anymore.
Yeah.
We'll have the Starship Enterprise version of computer
So do you think they're going to release any new
decision.
products or
Well, this is the eternal question, right?
because they're talking about
Um,
the home pod and
yeah, I my guess would be not, but we'll see how this goes. Usually at WWDC, I can remember a couple of years when they introduced new MacBook Pros, that sort of thing. But it was they weren't like dramatic upgrades. It was like, oh, now we have the M6 chip instead of the M5, things like that. Because I think there's going to be so much noise around the AI thing. I don't
Yeah.
think they would necessarily dilute that, with product releases. Maybe potentially something for like the Vision Pro. That's something it's kind of hasn't had a lot of buzz this
I feel
last
like they
year.
put that out there, but didn't do a whole lot with it.
Well, they didn't, and actually, there's rumors too about actual glasses,
Mm.
smart glasses, and that would be something that would tie in with the developers. So, I mean, potentially that could happen. I don't know.
they're talking
Um,
about smart earbuds as well, AirPods.
right, right,
So instead of
um,
seeing stuff, it would talk to you through the AI.
Mm.
right. Yeah,
My
there's.
dad uses the AirPods with the built-in hearing aid.
Oh
He loves
yeah,
them. He loves them.
it seems like a perfect fit,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I think that's very vague. I know, but I think the news is going to be around the software and how intelligence, whatever they brand the intelligence as, how that fits into things. And I think
Mm.
it's going to come down to um, the more sophistication for existing things, better search returns, better, you know who knows.
Well, sometimes we don't need the next best thing. We need the things that are already there to work. So I would
Exactly,
not
but
be
yeah,
too upset if that was the
no,
focus. Yeah.
no, not
I mean,
not at
I
all.
discovered this morning as I had set my phone down somewhere after coming in from the dog, and then I forgot where I put it. This is me getting older. It's super annoying. So I was very frustrated, and I literally just sort of
Welcome
said
to the
really, really
club.
loudly, "Hey Siri, where are you?" And my phone answered me, and I could go find my phone. And I was like,
There you
"Oh my
go.
God." I
Right.
mean, I could have done Find My from another device, but that was easier.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
just making the things that we're using now easier and better. I
Yeah.
wish more companies would focus on that instead of
Mhm.
trying to introduce some new great thing that is okay to start, but now they've spent all this time and money making it better.
Yeah.
So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean,
Who knows?
it does bear before we go saying if anybody missed it that this was the 50th anniversary, right?
Yep.
50th,
Yeah.
75th, 50th anniversary
Don't make
of
me older than I
Apple.
am.
Okay, and you look back. I was watching some of the um, talks about it and a lot of the articles, and it's astonishing that Apple survived through the
The rough and
90s
tumble
and the
90s.
rough
Yep.
and
Yeah.
tumble, and it was that close to going out of business, and now it's the
Did you read that book
powerhouse that it
about
is.
China and Apple?
No, no.
Oh, they say that's a really good book about Apple's progress and history and everything. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's on my to-do list to read. But
there's a couple of those books. David Pogue's new book
yes,
is one I definitely want to read.
yeah, that one he's
So
got a lot of great he was able to interview a lot of great founders in Apple and get the inside stories to several things that were going on. So that's a good book too.
We will
well,
put those in the show notes. If you guys can remember the titles too, that would be super helpful.
yeah, we'll,
Yeah,
we'll
But
do
yeah,
that.
it's an easy
And
yeah,
search.
we'll
Yeah.
put those in the show notes.
and also, if anybody wants it, I'll put in some notes, some of the stuff that you guys were asking about before.
Like how
If
to
any, if
simplify
any,
your GUI so you're not seeing liquid glass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. If anybody wants to download that, they can when this
I'm
comes
sure
out.
they will, Paul. So now you're on the hook
That's
to send us
fine.
that stuff.
I'm used to being on the hook.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after WWDC, maybe we do a quickie recap and so forth if that fits. So
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if
Well,
there's
these
something
yeah,
exciting.
these episodes with you, people love. We get a lot of good
I'm
feedback
glad.
on that. So we will have you on all the time. And I'm sure we'll have you come back too. And
All
you're one
right.
of our favorite people. So,
Well, it's
there's
my
that.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It it
You know,
gets me
you
out
can't
of the
always be
house.
good at everything. So, I like knowing that I've got you that's already, always Apple centric and, keeping up with everything because,
Yeah.
again, we can't be masters of all. So,
No,
yeah.
well, it keeps me sharp.
So before
Yeah.
we
So
go, remind our audience your website and how they can get in touch with you.
you bet. So my full website is bluewaterimaging.com, all one word. And I write a newsletter, 5 Minute Photos, which you can check out at 5minutephotos.substack.com. And I have a lot of stuff there. A lot of
It's good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's fun
Yeah.
to do. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the comments that I get and so forth. So those are my two primary ways to find out more, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
Everybody should subscribe to your 5 minute photos because it's great.
yeah,
I love when it
agreed.
lands in my box. Yeah.
Ah, well, good enough. Well, take
Yeah.
care. Thank you so much for having me,
Thanks
Our
for
and
joining
pleasure.
us.
Yeah.
can't wait to do it again.
And we
Great.
will.
Yes.
We will.
All
We've got
right.
your number, so to speak.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Take
All
Paul.
right.
care.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks everybody for being here.
We had some
All
good
right.
segues today. Didn't
That-
we?
We went all over the place.
We went all over the place. Yeah.
I don't even think we followed our general
Mm,
questions that we sent him. So we
I
just
don't think we asked any of them.
nope.
Maybe the first one.
Maybe the first one,
That's
yeah.
okay. This is where I think the more interesting things come out in this free-flowing conversation because he'll say something and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it sparked something else. So I think, if you just want the top 10 best features of Apple Photos, you can Google that. You can ask Chat or Claude, but what
Yep.
you won't get is sort
The
of the deeper, the nuances that you can only get by talking to real people,
or
and talking to
philosophical
people like Paul.
questions. And,
Yeah,
the discussions that we have are, like about AI and, what's right and what's wrong, what's their approach and how are they going to
yeah,
get there and things like that. Yeah. So,
yeah.
no, I love these conversations where I get to pick his brain and then say, look, Apple did not do that. So, the
I
whole
know.
birthday results, I just have to share.
Oh yeah.
So I went, okay, let's hit the search button, type in birthday, and it said, okay, these are your results. And one of them was from, do you remember the fire pit in San Diego at the Photo Managers?
Oh yeah. Oh,
They
did that
brought
come
that
up?
up as a birthday.
Well, yeah. Well, fire, that's interesting. Candles will always pull up for that.
Yeah.
That's
But the
funny.
word I searched on was birthday, and it
Yeah.
put the fire pit as one of the images in my collection.
Oh, that's funny.
So I guess it
That's
saw
funny.
fire, right?
Yeah, maybe. It would probably do the same for me. I have a fire pit in my backyard, so it would probably, I wonder if it would do that too. Anyway, well, that was fun. And we will, as usual, put the resources on our resources page at insidephotoorganizing.com, and you'll be able to get in touch with Paul
Yeah,
through there as well. And this was fun.
absolutely. Another great podcast in the can, as they
Yep,
say.
we'll see you next month.
Thanks. Until next time. That's it for our show today. Remember, you can find this episode on all of your favorite podcast apps. Be sure to click follow so you can stay up to date with the latest in photo organizing. We'll catch you next month.